This is a very complicated case. From the moment this story broke out, there has been so many controversies, so many questions, and so many mysteries surrounding it because of the way it has been handled. But now, as the Ghanaian embassy and many Nigerians became interested, high-powered investigation started, and some of our biggest questions have now been answered. In my previous video, I asked why Andrew was comfortable enough to tell Ben Samuel everything about himself, even giving him graphic pictures and evidence that could implicate him. By Mr. Ben's testimony, Andrew was a very smart and intelligent man. So why should he give so much details about his atrocities to a friend, even after he had been imprisoned in the UK for 2 years and still declared wanted? I also asked why Mr. Andrew enjoyed so much privileges while being in police custody, and for 2 weeks he was with them, there was virtually no headway and no arrest was made at all. Again, we asked and wondered if Mr. Andrew was working alone or with a syndicate, helpers or facilitators. With the new updates now available, we have answers to some of these biggest questions that are in the minds of everybody. One thing we know for sure is that Mr. Andrew was killed intentionally, and these updates explain some of these reasons. For the benefit of those who are just joining us or those that are just getting wind of the story, we are going to recap a little. Mr. Andrew Amaechi Ochukwu was a 52-year-old wealthy British Nigerian man. He was born and adopted in the UK by his Nigerian parents. He grew up in UK, but he lived briefly in Nigeria during his childhood days before returning back to the United Kingdom. He relocated to Nigeria after serving a 2-year prison sentence for slapping a woman and was also declared wanted for sexual assault in March 2023. Instead of being remorseful or repentant when he came down to Nigeria, he continued in his evil ways, even while in Nigeria. Prior to this incident, Mr. Andrew had kidnapped, raped, molested, and probably killed some ladies with allegations of organ harvesting after a decomposing body found around his house had missing parts. One of such ladies had previously reported to the police after being kidnapped in his house, but the police never responded. One of Andrew's friends, who said he knew everything about Andrew, had also said that at one point Andrew had thrown a lady down from the balcony of his house in Port Harcourt, and the lady sustained spinal cord injuries. And when this case was reported to the police didn't do anything about it. From all of this, we can see that this man had been committing so many evils and atrocities and was always going free. Of course, it was very easy for him to lure these girls. He was rich, flaunted his luxurious lifestyle on social media, and speak good English. There has been videos of him with other ladies circulating online. Only God knows for how long he has been into this and how many ladies that may have been molested or killed by him. However, back in the UK, there is no record of him being involved in money ritual or organ harvesting. Problem started for him on the 27th of April 2024 when two ladies, Celine and Afiba, went to visit him. Celine, Ndudim, and Mr. Andrew had been friends on Facebook. Then Mr. Andrew decided to invite Celine and her friend, Afiba Tando, who was a Ghanaian, for a weekend of fun. And of course, he was nice enough to send them transport money and also lodge them in a hotel before taking them to his house. He had a nice criminal mind because he knows how to make one not to suspect that he ever has any evil intention. To Mr. Andrew's house, Tessie, who happened to be Celine's sister, got a message from her that they have been kidnapped by the man they went to visit. Afiba's husband, who had also been in contact with her, also became worried when he could no longer communicate with her shortly after getting to Mr. Andrew's house. That same day, Celine went down to Aba to report to the police, but the police, they hardly did anything. Hence, she went back again to Police Zone 9, Umuahia, to report. And after searches and investigation, Mr. Andrew was arrested. A decomposing body was found near Mr. Andrew's house. Beyond his arrest and cooling off in a police custody, nothing else was done, even when the ladies have not been found yet. By this time, the Ghanaian embassy had become interested, and Mr. Harrison Gwamnishu, who had carried the case on his shoulders, had brought it to social media. Hence, many Nigerians were getting interested and commenting. The case was transferred to Abuja. We wonder why Mr. Andrew was not taken to Abuja by flight. After 4 days on the road for a journey that should have taken 12 hours or less, Mr. Andrew was shot and killed under suspicious circumstances. From here, the story not only became complicated, but it becomes more serious. But with these new updates, a lot of things have been explained. Why did Mr. Andrew divulge so much information to Ben Samuel? Which criminal tells another person not part of him, all his moves, crime, and activities? Ben Samuel lives in the same city where Andrew had lived back in the UK. He had known Andrew for 10 years. He was a blogger, and it has been stated that Mr. Andrew had a blogger friend whom he uses to threaten his victims. Could this be Ben Samuel? Ben Samuel has also been accused of sharing fake WhatsApp messages to tarnish the image of the girls because the WhatsApp message he shared did not have any date to prove its authenticity. The first girl who escaped from Andrew and was the first person to report to the police, even though she was ignored, had been accused by Ben Samuel of stealing from Andrew. How could you accuse her of stealing from Andrew even when you know of Andrew's past and criminal activities? It was easier to assume that Andrew may have attacked her in his usual ways. Mr. Harrison had also alleged that Favour Nwigwe was working for Mr. Andrew and also working for Mr. Ben Samuel. We suspect that Favour Nwigwe must be an accomplice because the 100,000 which Andrew gave to Celine and Afiba for transportation was transferred from Favour's account. Also, after the disappearance of the ladies on the 27th of May, on the 28th of May, 1 million naira was transferred from the account of Celine into Favour's account. Some investigation needs to be done here to unravel this. On the side of the police, we suspect that Andrew had a good relationship with the police because when Rachel reported Andrew to the police, nothing came out of it. When the girl thrown down from Andrew's balcony also reported to the police, nothing came out of it. Even when Tessie reported to the police, at first they were reluctant. When Andrew was to be transferred to Abuja, the journey took 4 days and eventually ended in unclear circumstances. These are enough reasons to suspect that something must have been wrong or going on between Mr. Andrew and the police. Also, let us remember that while traveling from Aba to Abuja, Mr. Andrew had instructed someone to transfer 1.5 million naira to an account provided by the police. However, this money had been retrieved by Mr. Harrison after much investigations, but no one has stated why this money was paid by Andrew to the policemen. Inasmuch as we do not know the reason for the transfer of money from Andrew to the police, we suspect that it must have been for bribery. And this might mean that Mr. Andrew had the habit of bribing the policemen, and that was why he was very friendly with them to the extent that the police could not do anything, despite all the previous cases brought up against him. Ben had also disclosed that Andrew told him that he gave the policemen 3 million naira. This is yet to be ascertained. Now, can we say that Mr. Andrew was killed on his way to Abuja to avoid exposing the policemen or what may have transpired between him and the policemen? Can we also say that Mr. Andrew was allowed the luxury of driving himself in his own car from Aba to Abuja because of what may have happened between him and the policemen, because it was very unlikely that someone who is a suspect in a murder kidnap case could be given the luxury, the privilege of driving himself. One of the major updates to this story, which raises more questions, is that the two suspects alleged by the police to be the killers of Mr. Andrew had denied any involvement in his death. According to one of them, before they could come to where Mr. Andrew's car was parked, Mr. Andrew was already dead. So now we might agree that these people that have been alleged by the policemen to be the killers didn't actually kill Mr. Andrew. And this is where the whole thing gets complicated. Who killed Mr. Andrew? We can deduce from everything that is ongoing that he was killed to conceal certain information. But now we need to know who killed him, because that will help us to understand other things that may have happened. We may excuse Ben Samuel for not reporting Andrew's atrocities to the Nigerian police because he said Nigerian police are unpredictable and unreliable. But can we also excuse him for remaining a very close friend and perhaps a confidant to Andrew? You know this man to be a criminal. You know he had gone to prison in the United Kingdom. He was declared wanted. Then he moved down to Nigeria, continued in his atrocities, giving you pictures, giving you images, graphic ones. Then you continue to remain his friend. How do we explain this? That you were a very close friend to an ex-convict and you never made any attempt to expose him. We may say that Nigerian police is unpredictable, like you said, but the UK police, are they also unpredictable? Why didn't you expose Mr. Andrew all of this time? It might be the Nigerian thing of, concern me, not be my business. And that is why you're coming out now to spill a lot of things, because everything has been exposed. Anyway, we wait for more information from the police. We still need to know the whereabouts of Celine and Afiba. Who killed Andrew? His helpers, facilitators. Did he had anything like cooks, cleaners, drivers? All these ones should be invited and interviewed. Mr. Ben has leveled serious allegations against Harrison and calls for his arrest. He alleged that Harrison had connived with the police to kill Mr. Andrew. He also alleges that the sum of 50 million naira was stolen from Mr. Andrew's house after Harrison went there without camera or any witnesses. It is important to note that all these accusations are coming up after Harrison had first accused Ben of being Andrew's accomplice and alleged that the WhatsApp messages provided by Mr. Ben are doctored. Could this be a problem for Harrison, because this is a test to his integrity?